Welcome to Two Steps Back with Nicole and Kat. It's a podcast.
Hey, beautiful people! Welcome back to Two Steps Back with Nicole and Kat. We're on episode 4, sis.
Oh, ang bilis.
Crazy. And we've had such incredible feedback from you all from our first 3 episodes. Thank you so much for tuning back in with us. Today's episode. Oh, if you're listening to the podcast, we just did a head heart.
Yeah.
Now I get why people do the commentary of like what people are seeing because some of you are listening on Spotify and some of you are watching over on YouTube. Well, today's topic we're talking about something that we're actually having a conversation. How do we define this episode? Because it's all about other women and our experiences with them in terms of who helped us, who collaborated with us, who maybe encouraged us along the way. And also, since we both came from the platform of pageantry, which is literally a competition, is there truth to that? Women are always competing against each other. And what are our thoughts on that? So, a very interesting topic for us today.
Yeah. So, Kat and I were talking about yung level of competition, especially in a cutthroat industry like ours. Pero I also feel like we tackle that a lot na rin. And sometimes it's clickbaity na parang for controversy, di ba? In a way, di ba? Tapos sabi ko, but you know what? Looking back, there were a lot of women throughout my journey who allowed themselves a certain level of kindness to go out of their way and share words with you or show support to you na although hindi kami naging friends for life or anything like that, pero yung moment na gano'n na na-share namin, it gave us comfort throughout our journey na akala natin it'll always be a dog eat dog world, for example.
Or the belief in ourselves, like, oh, little old me, and napansin nila sa akin. Or like gave us a little spotlight to shine, even for a moment.
But we're still going to be tackling like the level of competitiveness din among women. Kasi di naman maiwasan yun eh. Competition is always there. But there's such a thing as healthy competition, I feel, and toxic competition. So what is the fine line that makes it a bad one, a bad kind of competition? That's what we want to explore today because it requires a level of self-awareness then and a whole lot of honesty. Pero I feel like if we get to tackle this, if you're someone, syempre in whatever industry we are, whether you're in the office or you're in school, lalo na kung may mga similar kayo na, ay, ito yung parang close to my range, di ba? Or same kayo ng goal. Sometimes it can get catty
Or realities in the workplace. Like maybe you're both going for the same position, or you're also both being considered for an opportunity. So I think it occurs here and there. But I find that especially in the media, it's always usually what you said, the clickbaity narrative of pitting women against each other, or the cat fightiness of women. So I'm excited to delve into that.
yeah, we're gonna explore.
So where should we start? To with the collaborations or with
Collaboration
the
na lang muna.
Okay, on the good notes muna. So this actually required me to step back down memory lane a bit and look past into the past of the women who have kind of stepped up and given a platform or kind of just a little nudge of encouragement. But ikaw sis, do you have certain ones that fall within your time as a corporate girly, as a student, as a beauty queen?
Ang dami, sis. Grabe. And I'm so thankful for these women talaga. And I'm so glad that we have the platform now to be able to share their stories na how they touched our lives. Kasi we never get to, hindi tayo tinatanong about those things. So at least now, we can talk about it. So the first one I wanna, special mention talaga is Gretchen Ho. Kasi she hosted my Miss Chinatown pa ata back then.
Oh,
Tapos
okay.
nung first time ko mag-host for Binibining Pilipinas, I remember she was one of those people na nag-tweet na Nicole is doing a great job hosting. So parang yung platform niya, nabigyan na ko lalo ng highlight because of that. So when I was looking back at the last 6 years that we were doing Binibini, di ba? Parang sabi ko, doon ako nagsimula na someone lent me their platform platform. So, syempre from that tweet, mapuput yung spotlight din sa akin. So, thank you so much, Gretchen, for
Oh,
that.
it's so sweet, especially coming from a fellow host. It
Yun
like
na
gives you this air of
nga.
credibility, no? Na parang they understand the craft and they're also praising
Oo.
me. It's such a nice feeling as
Yeah.
well.
Tapos, syempre, parang nangyayari nun, parang pareho kaming host nun. Pero hindi niya pinagkait yung compliment na yon, 'di ba? But it's a big thing eh.
Super.
'Di ba lalo na when you want to guard your territory in a
Yes.
way. So whenever I catch myself na I feel competitive against someone in the same industry, I look back to that moment din na si Gretchen shared the spotlight with me. Hindi naman nakabawas sa pagkatao natin.
I love that.
Diba?
That's self-awareness though. But that's so important. I love that you brought that up. Ako
Ikaw.
naman, one of the moments that a woman stepped in and taught me to advocate for myself was actually my first manager. This was back when I started out as a model. And it wasn't because I don't know why I had this mindset, but I would always analyze people, especially when I moved to the Philippines. Na like I'm always questioning their motivations and their actions with the motivations behind it. Like, is this person helping me to eventually, have a utang na loob, or are they really have the intention of, doing something without anything in return? But this was a woman who really kind of sat me down and said, you know what, you should have a vision for what you want for yourself. And like, if you don't like this job, if you can't do anything about it, you just have to do it. But I mean, try and position yourself in a way that you can make or have better opportunities. It wasn't like a full on intentional sit down, like, I'm going to teach you, but it was just through conversation. It was these little nuggets of wisdom. So I really appreciated that because my parents weren't here. So she almost became like a parent guardian in a way because I was only 18.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that and felt by the consistency of it that there was no motivation behind it other than to help. Yeah.
Lalo na kasi parang, di ba, when you get thrown into the modeling world,
And it's coming from your employer.
yeah.
So parang there's the question of like, are they trying to position me that I just work more for them, earn more money for them, or is this coming from a place that they want to really mentor me? So the consistency really showed me that this is someone who wants to mentor me in an intentional way. So I really appreciate it.
Did that teach you how to trust then? Trust
A
more.
little bit, but I think trust is still an issue for me. I don't know why I have such an analytical mind, or maybe it's being a public figure. I think has also lent itself to being myself being weary. Like I'll always question, like, why is this person making such an effort to be close to me? Like, is there an intention? Which is actually sad. I don't like that I'm that way.
Yeah.
I would love to see people first with an optimistic lens and be like, yeah, I mean, this is so wonderful. Like they're wanting to create the connection here rather than already second guessing intentions. But something that I'm actively working on.
But it's also wisdom, sis eh. You know, parang yung wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yes.
Parang at least you don't act naman na you condemn them immediately, ganon. Pero it's still wisdom to be able to guard yourself.
And to discern.
Yes, discernment is another thing talaga. Judgment. Pero yung judgment without, like you do something, parang you give a negative reaction to that person. Pero you guard yourself lang. So
Yes.
it's more of for your own benefit.
Yes, that's true.
Amen to Charot.
How about you, sis?
Ako
What's
may
another?
isa pa akong isa-shoutout. Shout out! Shout out kay, Dimples Romana. Kasi right after nung Binibining Pilipinas stint ko na hosting, I shared dressing room with her during showtime. Tapos ito yung parang yung era niya na sumisikat siya from the Mekeni, Tugtog Doremi. Yung Bagani, I think. Basta parang si Dimples, yung one of those actresses na is always there. Always. Pero sabi niya sa akin noon is, hindi pa siya, nung time na yon hindi siya yung lead star. Pero she's always there. She always has yung project. So she taught me the value of longevity in the industry. Kasi sometimes you can be a big star, pero longevity is not on your side.
Right.
But she taught me noon, kasi syempre bago rin ako sa industry noon, she taught me yung values na you have to make sure that you're easy to work with, you do your job really well. Kasi at the end of the day, you don't always look for the big stars, you as producers, di ba? Pero they always look for the person whom they know could do the job and do it well and would show up on time. things like that, yung work ethic
Yeah, work
talaga.
ethics.
Yeah, and she shared a lot of personal stuff then on her end, on her journey throughout showbiz, na
Mm.
parang I was like, wow, this woman must be so secure in herself to be able to share such a humbling thing. Diba? For you to say lang nga na hindi ako yung leading lady, ganon, to admit that. And there's no, hindi naman siya nakaka-discount then on your career or whatever. It shows me such a big value then into the work that you do and the work that you have built for yourself then your career.
And her intention to take the time to also pass that to
Yeah.
you.
Oo, na parang mentor-mentor talaga siya.
That's so
Yeah.
nice.
So until now, parang we message each other and nagko-cross pa rin yung paths namin.
Mm.
So I'm always happy whenever I see her. And then, ngayon kasi big na talaga siya. As in, may mga lead na talaga siya sa projects and she's still always there. And I always, whenever I see her, I look back to that conversation na wow, yung masaya na siya na hindi yun level na yun eh. Kasi parang you're preoccupied naman with your career eh.
Yeah.
Pero to be blessed with that because of such a good work ethic that you have put in throughout the years. So many years, so many big movies, di ba? Pero ito, biglang binigay yung time sa'yo and you're so prepared.
Oo.
Diba?
And na-place din ng value on her journey wherever she was. Even if it
Yeah.
wasn't at the peak that she maybe hoped to have.
Right.
Pero parang nakita na yung value at being wherever we are.
Tapos parang feeling ko witness din tuloy ako
Oo,
noon, 'di ba?
exactly.
Parang wow, na-inspire ako na when I feel down minsan na hanggang dito na lang kaya. Should I still try? Should I still try to explore yung mga other parts of our industry? Tapos I remember her and I get inspired na why not? 'Di ba? Parang she also showed na hindi nag-stop yung career mo based on your age. Especially in an industry na parang sobrang,
Yeah. Everyone's
once
like,
you
you're
hit
gonna age
30.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Pero ito, hindi. Diba? So, really inspiring.
Ikaw.
Another aspect of your journey.
Oo, one would be I was in Thailand during the Miss Universe competition, and then my journey to getting on the stage for the swimsuit competition was one that made me really nervous because many people might not know because I'm still turning until now, guys. 6 years ako naiikot pa rin ako. But I'm really conservative as a person. Like, you know this, when we're at the beach, usually naka one piece ako or my cover up ako. Like, I'm just conservative. And the thing that maybe has lent itself to that being conservative is I was body shamed a lot during my stints in pageantry, beginning at Beanie Beanie. Like my first screening day of Beanie Beanie, like from literally the first step of that journey. And it's something that really impacted me a lot because some of you may have also seen I posted that I have scoliosis. So I already have a condition that I deal with on a daily basis, but then also having to be critiqued on that in such a public way that I had never really experienced before was really hard. Anyways, that tangent to say, when I did the swimsuit competition, I was really proud of myself just to go out there with that swimsuit. But then Tyra Banks tweeted, like saying, "Oh my gosh, Philippines, that walk." And I thought it was a prank at first. I remember we were sitting at dinner and then my Twitter started just like kind of beeping, and I was like, "What's going on?" And I saw it was Tyra Banks, and I checked. And I was like, "This isn't her. This isn't really her page." And it was her. And I grew up watching like America's Next Top Model, and like she's one of like the original '90s supermodels. And for her to comment on my walk in swimsuit was just really validating for me in a way of like, this is someone again who understands the craft, just like you were saying with the women who impacted you. Um, and who has also embraced being a curvy woman. So it just really made me feel so seen, and her platform is humongous. So in that concept and in that aspect, I was just like on cloud nine. It really was, and that was before the competition pa. So talagang feeling ko, kayang-kaya ko yung swimsuit competition na to, which went from, it was still like my most nerve-wracking part, I would say, of the competition. But it just gave me such a boost that she didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But it was just such a kind thing to do. And then even later on, After I won, we had an interview together. She interviewed me over the phone for V Magazine, and that was really surreal.
Like full circle moment.
I know. So
But
that was really,
that's
really kind.
actually really nice hearing that kasi we never
Mm.
really found out kung ano yung reaction mo after. Kasi things were dire-diretso from prelims to
Yes.
ano.
And it was a different beast back then. Like,
Yeah.
yes, we had social media, but I wasn't updating 24/7. Like,
Right.
I was actually limiting myself from social media nung nasa competition pa ako. So, talagang shock na shock ako.
Mhm.
Because I wasn't expecting it. I mean, like, I'm just a candidate. I don't have a title. I'm a Miss Philippines, sure, but that's not something we come to expect as a Miss Philippines, diba? And she's international. She's not Pinoy with any heritage or anything. So it was just sobrang touching.
Tsaka hindi mo sure na kung yung Hollywood stars
Mm-mm.
actually watch pageants. Diba? Hindi naman kasi
Exactly.
siya sobrang laki din in the US.
Mm-mm.
And to come from siya yung first speaking model for me eh. Diba? Siya yung model
Yes.
with a voice for me.
Personality.
Yeah. And the way she parang gives workshops to girls na
Yes.
parang it's more than just
Being a
how
pretty
you
face.
look
Yes.
or giving those fierce eyes. It's what's going on, your what you said, the inner world. Yung mga ganong concept na parang ganun, na bigyan niya yung depth yung modeling for us. Di ba?
Yes. True.
Diba?
Kaya I was like, oh, Tyra.
Pero hindi ko na-realize na ganun pala yung impact niya. I mean, ang laki impact nun sa journey mo, ng
Oh.
pageant journey
Kasi
mo.
talagang conscious na conscious ako. Especially, I mean, could do a whole episode on talking about if we were to run a pageant, like what changes we would make in it. But one of them that I would really love to see is that women get to choose what kind of swimsuit they go out in.
Yeah.
Like it could be a cover up or a one piece with a scarf or a one piece no scarf or a two piece, but at least you have the choice. Because I
Yeah.
think as a woman, it takes away our power when you just hand us a two piece and say, wear it. You have no choice.
Mm-mm.
And I hated that. Yeah, I
Mm-mm.
hated that. I really did. As someone who doesn't have that level of comfort, but she just gave me a really big encouragement because it was about the walk too. And I work so hard on my walk because I have an up and down body. My hips don't sway like Kuya Kaloy knows. Like Nicole knows as well. She's sat in on my trainings. How hard it was to even get to that point. So
The
it's just
pain then.
yeah,
It heals and
yeah. So very validating. Super validating. Do you have any
ganda.
more
Ganda.
moments of other women who encouraged you with the
Dami.
spotlight
Pero
that you
sige.
want to share? One more, kaya.
I can do maybe 2, 3 more.
Okay,
Wow.
go!
Hindi kasi yeah, I was surprised din talaga going into the industry na you have encounters with these women who are just yung ilaw talaga sila doon. One of them is Karil Yuzon nung Showtime.
Yeah.
Everyone knows already that Karil has a very, very good heart. As in, pero siya yung tipong she would take time to just, kasi di ba nagko-comment kami sa Showtime, tapos she would like to review your insights then with you. She likes talking about those things. So feeling ko may connection kami in that way. And then, I remember one time, hindi na kami magka-judge nun, parang pang third, fourth season na ata to ng Q&A. Hindi na kami magka-judge nun. Host siya nun, tapos ako na sa judges table. Tapos, nanawagan ako eh, kasi it got really toxic kasi medyo new administration. So, the contestants were getting bashed just for saying keywords na in relation to the campaign. Tapos, hindi naman nila intention yun, for example. So, natatakot na sila magsalita. Eh, yun yung whole point ng segment.
Actually,
Di ba, the
yeah.
LGBTQIA plus community
are given the platform.
are given a platform na hindi lang comedic. Di ba? So, I felt bad for them. So, nanawagan ako sa mga madlang people na let's be kinder.
Yeah.
Ganon. And to remind the contestants that you have a bigger role and privilege din dito na just speak out your mind. That's your, kailangan i-grab mo na tong platform na to. And then, si Karil, she makes sure to message me out of the show. Like, tapos sa show, mag-message siya na, sabi niya, it takes a really secure woman to be able to do that, na parang to go out of her way to stand up for others. It's something I never thought or intended to do naman. Parang I just felt like they needed a push.
Yeah.
Pero si Karil sees the best parts of you and makes sure na in case nobody told you yet, I'm gonna tell you that this is what you symbolized in that moment. Ganon siyang
That's so
tao.
touching. Goosebumps ako
Yeah.
dun.
Kasi parang, di ba, for someone who's been in the industry for so long, kaya mo
Mm-mm.
namang magyabang and just be alone with yourself, not mind the other people, just focus on doing a good job if
Mm-mm.
you're trending or not. Pero siya, she makes sure that people realize the good job that they do.
That's so nice.
And that's such an active thing. Na active
Mm-mm.
effort talaga yun eh.
And what I appreciate about those kind of acts as well is that it's not in front of an audience. It's not to be like, you know what, I want to do this so publicly and be seen as a nice person. But this is like in the quiet privateness of a personal message, or maybe behind the stage or dun sa dressing room.
Yeah.
And it makes it that much more impactful because it's not a performance. It's
Hindi
really
siya cloud
genuine.
chasing.
Yeah, it's really
It is.
genuine.
It is.
I love that. That's so sweet. Career is really so sweet.
As in. How about
Ako
you?
naman, um, one that actually people don't know about is Paula Shugart. She was the president of the Miss Universe organization when I was reigning. And the story of how it began was I wanted to become a Miss Universe because I wanted to serve like in community. Like I wanted to do a lot of charity community work. That was just how I envisioned the role and the value of a Miss Universe. It wasn't the glamorous side. It was like really the advocacy side, which doesn't really come as a surprise if you guys have followed my journey. But halfway through my reign, I was really frustrated because I just felt like the org was prioritizing profit making opportunities, which I understand. Pageantry is a business. So I went to Paula. I made a meeting and I presented all of these things that I wanted to do, Sana. Like, could we work with this organization? I could do this kind of campaign because I have like that thinking level head of I can make this happen. Just like if you give me your support, like I'll do the legwork for it, and then we can utilize the platform because I mean, so Miss Universe social media is also a platform. Um, Unfortunately, nothing really came out of that meeting, but there was a fund created where, of all of the endorsements, so the profit opportunities that they did secure for me that year, a percentage of that went to my fund, which we were able to donate to three different parties that year, which is Love Yourself, Young Focus, and Front Row Cares.
Wow.
And I've never told the story of how that came to be, but I appreciate that Paula, a woman in her position, maybe didn't fulfill what I thought should happen during my reign, but found a way that I could still give back to, like, I mean, the bigger purpose that I wanted to. So she definitely deserves a shout out.
Yeah. Ito yung parang mas unconventional approach eh.
Yeah,
Kasi sis, you were getting so discouraged
I
noon.
really was. I was so heartbroken. Nicole knows. Like, I was really frustrated, but I do have to acknowledge it was still something that she did. That wasn't maybe like, oh, I'm going to create these projects or support Kat in the project that she wants to do, but I will allow her to still make a difference in that way.
Yeah. Which is a huge part of it is dealing with people.
Mm.
Diba? Kasi minsan may expectations tayo from people, like how we should be treated, kung, you know, yung standards. Pero people sometimes just have different ways of dealing with things. So this is the perfect example din, di ba? Kasi sometimes it can get to a point na parang you're not a girl's girl.
Yeah, it's true because you didn't like support me in the way that I was asking for support.
Yeah.
But it would be such an injustice also to not acknowledge that something was still done.
And if you threw a fit, diba? If you
Yeah.
had, kasi you can, at that point, you could have refused to be collaborative. You could have changed, like switched your attitude eh.
Yeah, definitely.
Pero you still gave that chance. Like you kept it open, good relationship. So parang you gave her a chance then, a space to be able to move in her own way,
Yeah.
to meet you halfway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, just the dynamics of working with other people, siguro.
Perfect. Sisi talaga kita. Perfect yung next shout out ko.
I'm perfect. Okay, segue.
Ito private person kasi to. So hindi ko na ina-name drop. Pero she used to be one of my hindi naman direct boss, pero na-under ako sa kanya in the company that I worked with before. And then, yun yung time kasi na, di ba sabi ko in the last episode, I don't know if I can do bangs because I can't dress up.
Mm.
And yung time in my life noon, hindi, yun yung girl, parang yun yung part of my womanhood na hindi pa ako sure how to dress up. So
Mm.
I don't realize na there are things that are too short for me. Lalo na kasi ang tangkad natin, so everything's too short.
Oh,
Everything's cropped.
and I
I don't
feel
know.
like, you know how magazines kind of dropped out? I feel like magazines were a little bit of a handbook of like your body type and like what to wear. So without that, parang kulang natin ng knowledge. But anyway.
Oo. So
Mm-mm.
as an arte girl, parang I wanted to dress up sa office, pero ayun nga, parang hindi ko na-realize na sometimes it's a tad inappropriate na.
Okay.
Yeah. So nung time na yun, feeling ko kasi kung covered up ako sa taas, I can have the down.
Right.
Tapos minsan hindi mo naman nasusuot yung dress usually. But
Mm.
suddenly you decide to put it on and then you don't realize it functions that way. So this dress of mine, kahit na naka-blazer ako, tapos dress inside, medyo short pala siya. Tapos nag-heels pa ako. So medyo, yeah, it's short na. I should stay behind the office desk lang. Ganon. So my boss comes up to me. She's this gorgeous middle-aged woman.
Mm.
Tapos, syempre ang hirap pagsabihan yung employee na, tapos it's a girl thing pa. Pero I liked how she was like, she put it in such a nice way na, I, baka you're not aware lang na it's a little bit too short for work. Pero she said it na parang, kasi she could have been taray or just called me out or,
Or
ipahiya
talked about
ako.
you behind your back.
Or in front pa, may mga kupal pa nga na sa meeting mismo,
Mm-mm.
i-call out ka.
Oo, yung mga
Hindi ka
side
isa-set
comments.
aside. Ito,
Mm-mm.
sinet aside niya ako properly.
I love that.
Lalo na kasi first job ko naman yun eh. So, siguro gets yan na new employee, gano'n. Pero sinet aside niya ako, tapos the way she talked to me, she was very careful about not making me feel embarrassed about it. Pero like, you might not be aware lang na it's a bit too short. So, pagka sa office, must be,
I
siguro
love
ganito din.
that.
Tamaan pa rin ako. Like, I learned my lesson.
But it was done in a gentle way.
Oo. Parang yung effect was there for me to not do it again. Pero I super appreciate it na it could have gone wrong. Diba?
Oh, definitely. Alam mo, one of my pet peeves is really seeing other people call out other people in such public ways.
Yes.
Because I'm like, that's not how you teach someone to be better, or that's not how you make people better
Yeah.
by making them hiya in front of others or power tripping and like being like putting them down publicly. I hate that. I hate that so much because I don't think any of us can look back to a time and be like, yeah, you know what? That person calling me out in front of all the employees made me a better employee. Like, no one's gonna say that.
Wala
It'll be
talaga.
one of the most traumatic experiences instead. So that's so nice.
It
Maybe
is,
she
yeah.
saw herself in you. Maybe she.
Yeah, because she dresses so good.
But it's so nice that she approached you in such. I find that so polite, and I feel like that's what real leadership looks like. You know, it's really like making people aware, but also taking into consideration like maybe they just haven't been taught this. Maybe they just don't know this. Like, how can I fill that gap? You know?
And parang it influenced me then. As a person na I can approach things in a lighter way. Diba? Not in an aggressive way.
Or in the context of like, how can I see it from a position where hey, maybe this person just isn't aware of how it came across. It
Kasi
can be in the
usually,
spoken word din.
Totoo. Kasi usually, diba yung assumption natin, ay nananadya to. Ay, you didn't put enough thought into this.
Yeah. Or
Or
of course they knew what they were doing.
yeah.
Or they knew how it came across. They knew their tone of voice. They knew how
Yeah.
this would make whatever look, you know?
Pero even if they did, and then you approach it that way, parang it's more humbling na it was obvious what I did. Like, for
Mm.
example, I did have bad intentions, but this person,
Still had the humanity or the
actually, mas
kind.
mataas tingin ko sa kanya
Hmm.
na I acted that way, but this person,
Still had the decency. So,
so much this, mas mahihiya ako. Honest.
fine. Ooh.
So, which brings me to the point na yun nga, yung tendency na yun that things could go wrong in so many ways. Diba? It's a thin
Yeah.
line. It's a thin line
It
among
is.
women then, diba? So, let's delve into the competitive aspect naman among women.
I think it's so interesting because I really think it's a unique thing that women face. I don't feel like that same kind of theme is present amongst men.
Mhm.
Maybe in different forms, but I feel like it bleeds throughout every aspect of our life as women. Because in school, I remember feeling like it was mostly about wanting to belong, not necessarily wanting to be better, but to belong. And there was a standard of belonging. So it's like I wanted to, be able to relate to the TV shows that the cool girls were talking about, or to know the slang that was going around that everyone seemed to know what it meant, or to have as nice clothes on the free dress day as the girls that I
Free
looked
dress
up to,
days,
because I had
yeah.
uniform growing up.
Ako din.
Oh, which I think is better. I
Yeah.
would have been so stressed out picking it outfit every
Uh-huh.
day.
We would have been late all the time.
Diba? And then when we got older, like for me naman, starting off in the modeling competition, that made like competition feel
Ano, paano yun? May
really.
specific experience ko dun sa modeling.
Yeah, you have to go to go sees, and that's literally auditioning for one position.
Yeah.
So everyone's your competition, like in a
Mm-mm.
way, like you want to get that job. And then if for commercials naman, it's gonna be based on not just your look, because I mean it's both humbling and also kind of frightening that you get turned away from work opportunities just because of how you look. But that is the reality of modeling.
Yeah.
And it's both sad, but also I say humbling because it's like maybe it wasn't my performance. It's nothing to do with me. I just don't fit what vision they had for this ad that they want to create. So you can take it either way. But it helps your sanity if you take it the way like I just didn't fit their peg. Like
Helps you sleep better at night.
exactly. So that was hard. But did I ever experience like sabotage attempts or women that were really treating me badly because I was their competition?
Yes.
No.
Ha?
In modeling, wala.
Ay, hindi.
Wala.
Sa modeling, hindi.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Sorry to the audio.
Uy, sorry, napangunahan ko. Napangunahan ko. Sorry.
But then in pageantry naman, as a competition, I feel like that amped up the competition feeling to like a T. I don't think it gets much more competitive than a pageant does because I mean, Bini Bini our year was the exception because there were like 6 different titles, but usually girls want 1 or 2, and then you're like 50 to 40 girls, which is crazy. And the thing I guess about pageants though, it has enough criteria for it to be like, oh, it's the walk, it's the intelligence, it's the beauty, it's
Yung
the
mapipinpoint mo.
yeah, it's a whole realm. It's a whole variation of things, which I guess allows you to justify like, oh, maybe this girl's my competition in walk, but this girl's my competition
Per
in
category
communication.
siya.
Oh, so I feel like it kind of, I don't know. For me, it kind of calms it down.
Yeah.
Ikaw ba? Like, does it kind of tone down the competition feeling a little bit just because it's got so many different categories?
Parang nung time ko sa pageantry, honestly, wala akong nakikitang parang, hindi na kakompetensya ko yung walang thunderstruck eyes na parang,
Okay.
walang ganun. Kasi dun ko talaga na-feel nga na sarili mo lang talaga yung competition mo. Because if you don't improve,
That's true.
wala.
That's really, really true. It's a lot about self perception also because you could be the most stunning woman. You could walk like fire. You could have the best outfits. You can speak so clear, so eloquently. But if you don't believe that you're all those things,
wala rin makikita
wala rin.
din. So talaga na-focus ko rin sa sarili ko. Tsaka parang doon ko na-realize na each woman is so different.
Yeah.
Pero yung, there are girls, parang you don't root for because of their relational skills backstage.
Yes, that's true. That's definitely true.
Honestly, oh my God, kinakabahan ako.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it because we've experienced it firsthand. And these are our experiences, not to say every other girl in that arena will
Mm-mm.
experience the same thing. And we don't want you guys going down the investigative the rabbit hole to figure out who are these girls. This is not the point of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But yeah, it's true. Like one instance that really stands out to me when I competed in Miss World Philippines, I felt like most of the girls didn't want to approach me, and when I approached them, I felt almost that it wasn't entertained, and I was like, am I not coming across in a nice way? But it felt like they only saw me as competition and had the belief that like if we're friends with girls too much, like we'll lose focus from what we're supposed to do.
Mm.
So I didn't form many friendships, but I did form one friendship that has lasted ever since, and that was my friend Sandra Lamonon. She was the one person in my whole batch that she would really just be such an incredible friend. Like, even to the point of like, do you need help to do up your zipper? Like, she would go out of her way, but that's really who she is. But it just shows like out of an environment that maybe didn't seem so nice because of the competition, like it allowed like a true friendship to really shine. And maybe the contrast of that just elevated it even further.
Mm. Saka, you've been through so much together.
Super.
Saka wala siyang, she's the type, with the limited time that I've had with Sandra, parang she's the type who wants to make sure na you feel good about yourself.
She's so selfless.
Uh-uh.
One of the most selfless people I've ever met. And yeah, we're friends until now.
Mm-mm.
She's getting married soon.
Yeah.
But that was a friendship born out of pageantry. So not to say that it's a competitive environment where true friendships don't thrive. I mean, me and Nicole are a little bit of an exception because we did not compete together.
Yeah.
So we didn't meet like in the stages of the competition, you know.
Yeah.
But we had that in common. Like we were both queens in 2016,
Mm-mm.
but kabilang system. So
Yeah.
we never really interacted with each other back then. But going back to the competitive feeling between women, um, I felt well during both Bini Bini and Miss Universe. I never witnessed or was kind of personally attacked by any other of the girls. Most of the negativity, if not all of it, was usually in the form of online comments.
Mm. Which we will tackle in the next episode.
Yeah. So that to say, like, even though it is a competition, it also allows us women to kind of pull back the narrative and be like, yes, we're at a competition, but this is an opportunity for us to highlight each other. And I feel like, I mean, if this is an example of anything, I would say this podcast is an example of that. Like, we're able to highlight each other. Even though you could also consider that we're in the same industry, we could also be competitors, but I've never wanted to see it that way because it's like I have so much joy in, for example, like lifting Nicole up in her craft because I think she's incredible at what she does. But it gives me joy as a woman to see her succeed. It really, really does. Arty?
No, pero kasi one of the yung people I listed down din was Kat. And it was because nung binibini pa lang na nagko-compete si Kat, parang she was like, sis, you belong on that stage. Kailangan mag-main host ka. Ganon. Eh ako nga, hindi ako naniniwala sa sarili ko. Tapos ako parang, hindi okay lang. Masaya na nga ako. Swerte-swerte ko na nga na side host ako. Pero siya hindi. Kailangan talaga mag-main host ka eh. Kasi ganito ka kagaling. Ganun siya. Tapos she always shares her platform. Parang pwede naman kasi na she flies solo. Di ba? She doesn't, hindi mo kailangan mag-agree. Pero ako nagsasabi. Kaya naman niya eh, sarili ng platform, ang laki-laki na. Pero she always shares her platform. As you can see din sa mga YouTube, niya. Like, she always thinks na, how can other people benefit from my platform, businesses, diba, sa mga DTI. Pero she's that selfless. Wala lang, siningit ko lang. Pero going back nga to the competitive side of pageantry, yung para lang malinaw, yung mean girl era na naman mababansagan sa akin. Kasi there are girls, parang yun nga, I appreciated myself na hindi ako yung naging competitive na, oh, I'll only be friends with this girl kasi to fish out or para mas mag-gauge ko yung competition ko. Kasi yun na-realize ko na wala, individual effort to. Pero kasi there are girls who are proactively nasty. Yung talagang may sarili silang mundo, tapos hindi talaga sila makikipag-friends, hindi makikihalubilo, shut off nila sarili nila.
Mhm.
Tapos minsan parang may yung lumalabas
Yes.
yung inggit factor din or kung hindi ka natawag for interviews, parang ano sila, tas may mga maririnig-rinig ka rin. So
Mm-mm.
yun yung parang the girls I didn't root for. Pero yung
Yeah.
mga friends ko nun parang, alam mo yun, dumating sa point na sana may corona ka, yung ganon.
Mm-mm. You end up
Sana
rooting for each
sama-sama lang,
other.
oo.
Mm-mm. That's true. Do you feel like those women who subscribe to the narrative of you're my competition, therefore I won't make an effort or I'll make myself available to be friends with you? Do you think, in a way, that they're a victim of the environment of pageantry? Do you think in pageantry like sets us up to be competitive towards each other in that way?
Ako in a way, I won't say that it's an external thing fully. Feeling ko because it's such a high stakes competition, it really brings out the best and the worst in
Yes,
you.
it really does.
That's why these women na kunwari I feel wronged by them or I felt hurt, yung iniisip ko lang is we just unfortunately met at a certain phase in our lives where we weren't our best. Pero there are a lot of friends then in my life na hindi okay naging first second encounter namin, pero if given the chance the other encounters okay. Ganun. So don't write off people in your lives then. Unless siguro like super toxic na talaga.
Yeah.
Pero alam natin sinasagad din naman natin sarili natin. Pero like pag-acquaintance lang, parang
Mm.
you don't have to super be proactive giving them the
Yeah, it's
nasty.
like as long as you like give how many opportunities to bridge that gap, and if hindi pa rin, then okay naman. Baka you're just not meant to be friends. Maybe just
Mm-mm.
acquaintances or someone that you competed with or knew lang.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's really interesting then, like you said, it really does bring out the best and the worst of you. And I feel like any competition does.
Yeah.
Not just pageantry. Like if you're thinking of like going head to head with someone at work for a position, it brings out the best and the worst of you.
Yeah. It's true.
So again, it comes back to like how do you value yourself? How do you see yourself? And because if you're, I also want to mention as well that popped in my head.
Mm-mm.
I think there's also something to be said that some individuals are also the consequence of people around them feeding them toxicity.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yes, and encouraging that kind of mindset to see people as competition, to see people or to act towards them in certain negative ways. I've witnessed it myself. I think you have
I
also, sis,
witnessed it,
the
sis.
influence of outside forces, outside people. But
Mm-mm.
unfortunately, because the women that well, I think we both have an experience with. We were like in our young 20s,
Mm-mm.
teens even, and when you are that age, I feel like where you are in your life, you're very open to being guided by people.
Yeah.
And if it's the wrong guidance, then it can also absorb into how you treat people,
Yeah.
how you see other people, especially in pageantry.
Yeah. Kaya actually, I advise din sa mga girls who are thinking of joining pageantry, parang dapat buo ka as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi, you know, kahit na, kung pumasok ka dyan na you're so malleable, yung mga decisions mo, to who to listen to,
Become watered down.
it becomes so, kasi grabe rin mag-dictate yung mga tao surrounding us.
Yes.
Diba? And these are not women
Mm-mm.
who are dictating women.
That's
Na
true.
parang manipulating them.
Mm-mm.
Like, you have to do this against this person.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But it could even be in the form of being like, oh, you know that girl? She's like this, like that, like this. And sometimes, unfortunately, we'll be like, oh, talaga?
Oo.
Sige, I'm not gonna be nice to her.
Kasi syempre, you trust these people.
Yes. So I guess there's a nugget of wisdom there. Like whatever you hear about another person, unless you've had a personal experience with that person, don't allow it to become truth in your mind.
Actually, sobrang loose namin ni Kat sa idea na yon. I think na, kunwari may person na may maling encounter kay Kat or sa akin, Pero yung parang friendship code namin is, as long as hindi namin personally na-experience from this person, hindi namin to take personally. Parang we would approach you in a civil manner pa rin. Like, kasi there are people na parang, if ikaw, may atraso ka sa friend ko, lagot ka ko, nagkita tayo, ganon. Pero hindi rin naman kasi natin yung brand as friends.
Yeah.
Like, we extend respect as much as possible. So, I think if
And I think
anything,
it's just the guarding.
because yun sabi mo, you're quite guarded with
Yes.
people. Okay, so competition, as we acknowledge, is always there. Pero in a thesis statement, when is it
Toxic.
bad?
And when it is good.
Yeah.
Ako naman, I would define it. Competition is good if it allows you to have a fuel to push yourself to be better. Being better not by putting other people down, being better not by treating people poorly, being better by treating people with poor ethics and poor work ethics. Like, parang being better is I'm gonna invest into myself, I'm gonna invest into my skills, I'm gonna invest my energy in a positive way, like to either making connections at work or trying to find opportunities. Competition becomes really toxic for me if one, you try to get ahead by bad, negative, or evil means.
Yeah.
Like in the form of sabotage, or you go out of your way to, ayun, like, sow in negativity or rumors about people to put them down, or you go out of your way to close the door on an opportunity for someone who's deserving naman, but you're so competitive that
May
you're like,
mga
I'm gonna
ganun,
go out of
ah.
my way to like close that door of them.
Yeah.
Because it really
Lalo na when you
happens.
get into a position of power and you have that option to tap into that power,
Yes.
may mga kilala talaga ako na nang block ng tao.
Yeah, they block opportunities. That's when
Yeah.
competition is really, really toxic for me. When you let yourself justify doing bad things or things to sabotage other people because we're in competition, eh. That's my kalaban, that's my whatever. That's for me ethically wrong, morally wrong. Because like I would always think like I was in their shoes once upon a time. And maybe I wouldn't be in this position if someone did that to me. Like like we were just talking about, we remember
Yeah.
the people who lifted us up or gave us a hand up or encouraged us. Wouldn't you rather be one of those people than
Yeah.
block someone who's just like you from pursuing their potential or what they could be, the greatness that they could achieve? So yun, that's my definition.
And honestly, mas generous yung balik sa'yo. Kasi, kunwari, kunwari yung top person. Kunwari, ikaw, top person gives you the platform, umangat ka. Kung may clash sa schedule, unavailability, nagre-referran naman.
Yeah.
Diba? Like, I think you can try this host. They're really good. Tapos, binabalik nila yung favor eventually din. So, yeah, in the end of the day, hindi lonely at the top, 'di ba? You have people to still accommodate.
True.
You
And
can
I
push it.
subscribe to parang the thought that if you give, you're blessed. Like, and if you give good, you receive good.
Yeah.
And parang like, yeah, like we will, people will always remember those that really help them. And I feel like that's a nice way to be remembered. That's a nice
Yeah.
legacy to leave. Especially if like you're at the top, what's the good of it if you're not impacting other people? You're just there for yourself lang ba?
Yeah. Tsaka bilog yung mundo.
Yes.
'Di ba?
Yes.
By the minsan sa time na nasa baba ka na, sinong hihila sa'yo pa?
Exactly.
Kasi minsan time mo, minsan time ko, 'di ba? Hindi naman nagkasabay din lagi yung seasons.
Exactly. And it's always wala. It's a nice feeling in your heart. Because I feel like if you get to the top by bad means, you've poisoned the well for yourself.
That's true. Which, may question ako dyan for you. Kasi being one of the most influential people in the country, like, in terms of following, yung sinasabi natin kaninang, you could easily tap into that.
Yeah.
What holds you back from that? Expound mo lang. Kasi
Like
diba,
to bridging over into toxic competition.
na parang you actively use that. Diba? Kasi you could have so many times. And you could retaliate because other people do it to you actively.
Yeah, definitely.
So what holds you back? Kasi etong kunwari, silang lahat na Diyosa sa top char. Sila yung mga yung mga top influencers. Syempre laban-laban in a way. Tapos may blocking din yan. I mean, hindi blocking. May moves. Moves. So ikaw, you could also easily tap kasi you're equally as powerful. Pero, ngayon na-realize ko, actually, hold back ka sobra.
Yeah, I always do because, like I said, parang for me, it's not aligned with my values. There have only been times, for example, where a brand has come up and said, "Oh, we want to make buo this concept of you fighting with this other influencer or personality for our product, like you're agawan, talagang fighting over." And I was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that concept. I don't like that. That's just sowing in that feeling of competition. It's sowing in that feeling like we're fighting each other." Parang I turned that down. And that was something proactively I said, I'm willing to work with this person, pero not in that concept.
You're not gonna feed that negative
No, because I'm
value.
so aware of it. And I think it's such a pity because even though nag-start naman ako sa pageant, and I'll always thank Miss Universe for the platform that I have, but I don't want to feel like I'm competing for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I really love those stories and witnessing moments where like there's the collaboration because I'm such a believer in the concept of collaboration in my team. It's like our main core collaboration. And so the reason that I just don't act out in that way, even though minsan talagang tempting because when it's happened to you, it's parang gigigil ka na
Na
eh.
parang, how could this person do that?
Yes.
Na parang, I can't believe this person has it in them.
Yes.
Oo.
Kasi minsan talagang parang you'll hear it. And then when it happens to you, and then you're just like, parang, huh?
Totoo palang may ganitong nangyayari in real life.
Yes, talagang may shock factor because maybe call it naive, but like when you, parang you know that saying, you should never meet your idols. Like minsan talagang discourage ka from what you discover. But I've never wanted to react to another person's bad behavior with more bad behavior. There have been instances also that I've been commented on publicly by other public figures, and I had the opportunity to retaliate publicly.
That's true.
But I just don't believe in that. I always believe in taking the high road. I don't know. I think it's a value thing for me.
And sis, nag-reap yun na. Like, you reaped what you sowed after how many years? And then you have encounters with these people?
Yeah. I mean, parang ang clean ng conscience ko.
Yeah. Yun.
Yeah, I never justify hurting someone else because they hurt me.
Yeah.
Because in my eyes, it would make me just as bad as them.
Yeah.
Like, even if I threw the second punch, but they threw the first punch, I'm still someone who went out of their way to intentionally hurt someone. And that doesn't sit well in my heart. Kaya, wala, I just subscribe. I'll take the higher road na lang. And it's sad because sometimes people will see that and be like, she's silent kasi she's condoning it or she's, you know.
Parang ikaw yung tumupi.
Yes.
Nag-fold ka.
Or parang my truth sa mga sinasabi kasi silent ka eh, meaning accomplice or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think I can say with truth and weight na parang it pays off to be kind. It pays off not to subscribe to an eye for an eye. Kasi parang, I don't know, kindness pays off, especially in the long run. And like you said, the world is round. Like, it's round, it's small, especially industries are small.
Yeah.
So, wala, sow good things. Because you will reap what you sow.
Oo, when we go through those things, syempre in that moment, we feel so defeated. Kasi, who else is gonna talk about it but us? But we chose to be silent.
Or who's gonna defend us?
Who's gonna defend us? Pero, alam mo, after how many years, other people, akala ko, sinasabi nila before, Filipinos have such short-term memories, that's why we're so forgiving. Hindi pala. Lalo with TikTok. Like, basta online in general, people still remember. And then the truth really does come out eventually. And then your character lalong ma-appreciate afterwards. So it's a long-term thing. Although parang tanggap natin kung hindi na siya mangyari ever, yung ganong revelation. Pero at least we stuck to our values.
No, definitely. But would you say that you're the same in the way that how you define toxic competition and healthy competition within yourself?
Ako, for example, kasi syempre, ako I host more, di ba? So I really identify myself as a host. So marami kami in that pool and mas kita mo yung mga direct competition mo. Tapos there will be times na mananega ako na I put myself down na how come she got this project, he got this project. Ano, tas should I adjust my rates ba? Pero I know the work, the effort that I could give to this project, di ba? Yung mga ganong stuff. Tapos,
Or
lalo,
minsan, so sorry to like interject, pero parang that feeling of you see someone doing a job and they don't do it as well as you feel like you could have. Parang it's like it's frustrating. Yeah, but
pero sometimes kasi, di ba, the project is like limited lang with budget. Parang we don't need a good
oh,
host.
I know.
Not to say that they're not good hosts,
Yeah,
pero like,
but yeah,
ano
there's like that
lang,
internal conflict, diba?
internal
Parang,
conflict, oo. Na parang, okay, baka dilulu lang din ako. Hindi, pero ano, parang yung iniisip ko na lang is what are they doing that I'm not doing?
yeah,
So instead of magpakain ako sa negative emotion na yun, na, I could be like, hindi nga nito kaya, ganito, ganyan, ito, ganito, ganyan. You know, listing reasons to make me feel better about myself by putting that person down in my head, in my inner world. Inisip ko na lang na what can I do na ginagawa nila na hindi ko pa ginagawa. Baka may pagkukulang ako. And I feel like that's a more humbling perspective because I get to learn.
that's hard though to do, huh?
It's really hard.
That's really hard to do.
And it takes a while.
Yes.
It takes a while.
Yes. Because if you subscribe to the whole depreciating of self, ang hirap minsan to get out of that. Kaya it circles back to what was said earlier, like really working on yourself, being sure about yourself, finding the worth within yourself.
So it's really all about yung perspective. Don't be too hard on yourself then, guys, if you're not that kind of person. Kasi I wasn't that kind of person. But I realized in moments like that na I didn't want to be that kind of person. I didn't want to be rotted, and I don't want to allow myself to rot either. So I was like, we go back to, okay, the things that we can control.
Yeah.
And kasi the fact na ang liit nga na industry and then we bump into each other, I don't want to have negative feelings when I see this person. Like, I have to wash myself of that. Na parang, okay naman yung tao, di ba? It's just, you have to accept the competition healthily. You have to channel it healthily. And it takes really proactive effort once again.
Yeah, and a lot of self-awareness. I would love to put a little ribbon on this by saying to see someone as competition is a choice. And you shouldn't choose to only see that person as someone who you're going to head with. Rather see this person is great at ABC. How can I be better at ABC? And not to say like I want to get to their level, but maybe it's pinpointing something out to me that I want to improve upon. Maybe it's an insecurity of mine. So how can I work on that internally? How can I fill up my cup of worth in that category? And I feel like if you allow yourself to see the people in your industry, still treat them with kindness. I mean, this is what we've already touched on. Seeing people with kindness, treating them well, like having good work ethic, having good values, it'll come around. And you treating them bad won't make them do any less better than you.
That's true.
Yeah. Right? Not being friends with them isn't going to make them lose. Being a horrible person to them isn't going to make them perform less. So what good is it serving you other than hurting you in the long run and also kind of tainting your conscience and your heart with how you've treated them? So let's keep that in mind. Everything that comes around goes around. And I know that times it gets hard, especially if someone's done something really bad to you, because it'll happen, unfortunately. But I would encourage you never allow that to justify you then reciprocating that same unkindness back. Like, take the high road as much as you can. It's really hard. It takes self control. It takes a lot of awareness, but that's why you have friends that you just rant out to and vent out.
out.
Like,
And in our case, like, we can get nasty with our venting out. I feel like it's healthy. Pero kasi, alam mo yung salitang galit Like, it's words out of anger. And then, after hearing each other out, you can reposition yourself na, at least
Start
mas
the
open ka na
process.
after all the emotions, you can think rationally again. So, ako no judgment ako. So kung may masasabi ako something bad about the person, what they did to me, I'll rant it out to you. Bleep,
Mm-mm.
bleep, bleep, ganon. Pero at least, once I give it to you, you
Mm-mm.
can throw it out, di
Yeah, or I can
ba?
help you process it. But at the end of the day,
Oo.
you're validating the emotion because it's right to feel those things. Like it doesn't make you a
Mm.
bad person kung inis ka or
Oo.
nasaktan ka. Like that's human.
But
So
the difference lang is, if you do that to other people na alam mong aabot sa kanya, yung may intention ka to spread it out
yes,
or para masira siya. Pero like, kunwari, among friends lang, I
safe
think it's
places.
healthy.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, oo. Tapos minsan, pagka nakita niya huminahon na ako, mag, magbibigay siya ng hard truth.
Mm-mm. It also helps
Diba?
humble you as well.
Oo.
So ayan, we hope that there's a lot of different wisdoms from our experiences. And yeah, I love this conversation actually. Really glad that we did this topic this week.
Yeah, I'm so happy with this topic. Pero I'm so glad also that we got to highlight the women who extended kindness to us throughout our journey. I know we can't be that person 100% of the time. I feel like I'm not even that person 50% of the time. Pero sometimes you only need to be that person kahit 1% lang. And then you don't realize the difference it will actually make to the person you affect that with.
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very, very true. So thank you guys so much. Let us know what your experiences were. If you have any, comments below or also on our Facebook community page. We'll see you guys next week.
And thank
Until
you so
then,
much for taking 2 steps back with us.
take care, guys.